If you are a consultant at McKinsey, BCG, or Bain, most likely you struggle with slides because everyone does. So you decide that you must improve your slide making, right? So you want to learn slide design, formatting, cool layouts, and sleek shortcuts. But what if I tell you that you struggle not because of your poor slide making skills? These are just symptoms. These are just visible symptoms. The missing ingredient is problem solving. And to be precise, the absence of systematic problem solving process. By the end of this video, you will understand why formatting and beautification alone rarely fix negative feedback. More importantly, I show you the exact learning protocol I use to coach active MBB consultants to improve both slide making and problem solving without months of painful trial and error. And how do I know that? So in my coaching program, I often coach senior consultants with, let's say, 2-3 years of tenure. And even sometimes I coach EMs with 3-4 years of tenure. By that time, they can produce beautiful slides, right? But guess what? They still struggle with performance. They still get average ratings, and partners don't want to support them. So consultants don't get their desired ratings and promotions. So, and at that tenure, it becomes obvious that the problem is not slide making, okay? They already can do it very well. So it's something else. It's something invisible. And let's discuss what it is. Before we dive deeper, let me say this. If you want help identifying what is actually holding back your performance, book a free one-on-one consultation call with me. We'll discuss your current challenges, identify the skills you need to improve, and determine whether my coaching program is a good fit for you. The link in the description below. Before we jump into solutioning, let's first understand the problem a little bit better. Why do partners criticize your slides? Okay, well, they can react to what they see, and they can see your slides. They cannot see how you think, how you structure, how you analyze your issues, how you identify your insights. Okay, and in reality, if your slide is not landing, that means that something happened. There's some kind of mistake happened. And usually these mistakes happen way before you even touch your PowerPoint, upstream of your process, of your problem solving and slide making process. And what happens is that you produce shallow outputs. Your partners get upset. They don't see what they want, right? For them, your slides feel pointless and kind of empty. But for you, it will feel like a moving target. Today it's one thing, tomorrow it's another one. So, and always some different problems, different issues. Sometimes it feels like even like a conflicting feedback that you get from partners. And that's why learning slide making is very hard, because you basically fighting these invisible root causes that you don't know that exist. Okay? So the missing ingredient is problem solving. And to be precise, the absence of systematic problem solving process. Because if you work in a, let's say, in an ad hoc way, in a haphazard way, you'll make careless mistakes. You'll miss some important information, and you will produce some trivial outputs. Okay? And all of these mistakes that happen for different reasons, all of them will translate into slides. On top of them, partners will provide random feedback. And then if you look into this mess, there is no way to identify what to do. It's not actionable, right? So that's why it's absolutely imperative that you establish a robust, systematic problem-solving process. You identify the root causes of your mistakes and then fix them one by one. And then you basically reduce the number of mistakes in your system, and then your work becomes more high quality, and you become more productive. Okay, so the slide making and problem solving process is actually quite extensive topic, and that's not the purpose of this video. If you want to learn this, the processes, how they work, and what are the critical steps and critical checks at each of the processes, I actually created 2 detailed guides for you to read and learn on your own. So feel free to download them. I shared the links in the description of this video. In the rest of the video, I will explain how exactly I coach MBB consultants on slide making and problem solving, and how to do it quickly, not through months and months of painful trial and error, countless reps, mistakes, negative feedback, rework, and iterations. We don't need that in our lives. So in my coaching program, the MBB Performance Accelerator, we developed a specific protocol that accelerates the process, the learning process, and remove toxicity from it. Okay, so let me explain the exact protocol. First, consultants learn through practical exercises. We know that learning just through theory is not enough. It's not effective. That is why this is not an online course. This is a practical coaching program. Okay, so consultants are given realistic consulting scenarios or consulting problems, and they're very representative of what you usually face in your day-to-day consulting work. So consultants have to solve these problems and produce slides to communicate their solutions, to communicate their ideas. Then I review these slides myself, every single one of them. And because I worked at McKinsey for 9 years and coached dozens and dozens of consultants, I can spot mistakes and then some of the unhelpful behaviors. And I can diagnose what's not working for you specifically, what's broken in your specific process. But I don't just find visible mistakes like your EMs and partners usually do. I point out exact root causes that originate the mistakes in your process. So how and where this mistake originated, and what happened upstream of your process, from accepting tasks, conducting research, thinking, problem solving, and production of slides and polishing of the slides before you send it out to your leaders. So once the root causes become visible, the solution actually becomes quite obvious and actionable. And of course, I will also advise you on what to do, but it becomes self-explanatory. So this way, we can eliminate the whole classes and types of mistakes. These mistakes won't happen again in the future, and then your number of your mistakes dramatically drops. You can breathe, right? It reduces the stupid work that you had to do fixing the comments and fixing those mistakes, and your productivity improves. To make it more tangible, let me share some common mistakes consultants make, right? So for example, misunderstanding the problem or miss an important piece of context or expectation. So this is about accepting tasks well, and then also active listening and active asking questions, clarifying questions, right? Another example is like making implicit assumptions or drawing illogical conclusions. This is another area. This is a critical thinking. How do we build arguments? How do we build logic in our thinking? Okay. Another common problem, don't structure issues, don't analyze issues very well, and don't explore them deep enough, and then don't synthesize them, not finding the root causes of the issues. This is already a core problem-solving skills, right? The 7-step approach. Another common mistake is communicate solutions without taking the audience perspective. People communicate from their personal perspective without taking into account how the audience see their problem, right? So this is a written communication. And final one is just not doing quality control and make minor formatting and presentation mistakes. That also happens quite often, and this is a slide making process. That also should be in place to make sure that you don't allow mistakes to happen. You can see there is so many things that can go wrong in that process, and all of these mistakes will end up in some form or shape in your slides, and your partners will tell you your slides are not good, okay? And then it's very easy to confuse all these different mistakes for mere poor slide making skills, right? And then you start chasing these different things, slide making skills, where your real problems are in a different place. And then depending on the root causes, your solutions will be quite different, and the action that you need to take will be quite different. You need to do multiple exercises because doing one exercise is just not enough, unfortunately. Usually it takes 2-3 exercises to see a real step change in performance, because in that time, consultants accumulate the critical mass of improvements, and then it just clicks for them, right? So after that, they can radically change how they work, and then it's almost they develop this resentment to the old ways of working. So they cannot work in the old ways, in the wrong ways after that. But if needed, we have up to 10 different exercises to practice if we need to go deeper. Each exercise focuses on different problem-solving skills like research, analytical, conceptual, modeling, storylining, structuring, and others. So, and also this way I can see, I can check as a coach if consultants have a well-rounded problem-solving skill that can be applied in a variety of consulting situations. The second important part of the protocol is benchmarking, okay? So you can see what great looks like. This is a very important part, right? So the way it works is that I show consultants the best output for the same exercise they just completed. Okay? So it just hits them differently when they see what outstanding work looks like. Produced by other fellow consultants, not me as a seasoned AP, but other consultants, most likely their tenure. So some consultants say in that situation, so they say, it's the first time I saw what great actually looks like. I finally understood what is expected of me. Okay? Because if you think about it, you don't get to see that in your day-to-day work. Every task you do is unique for you. You produce hundreds of slides, but never see how they could have been done in the absolute best way. Because your EMs and partners, they don't have time to show it to you. So they don't have time to redo your slides at their level. So you actually stay in your level all the time. But from a learning perspective, it's really hard to improve without knowing what is expected of you, right? So it becomes a constant guesswork. It's not very reliable learning process if you don't know where you're going, right? But in the coaching program, we can do it. I can show you benchmarks, not just good outputs, not just good enough outputs, but absolute best, which can impress any partner, right? So, and you're a smart person. If you clearly shown what the ultimate expectations are, what is that super high bar, you can get it. It's you will learn very fast. To be honest, it's not rocket science. It's actually quite technical thing to do. But we don't stop there. The third element of the protocol is calibration, right? So basically what you can do is you can calibrate your performance against the global cohort of other MBB consultants, around 100 people now in the program, right? So how do I do it? I will share all the slides that were created by other consultants for the same exercise you just completed, right? And you will see all of their scores, right? You will see what 10 out of 10 looks like. You will see what 9 out of 10 looks like, and so on, right? So this way, you know exactly how good or how bad you are. It's not someone's subjective opinion. It's not your partner's or EM's opinion. It's not even my opinion, right? It's subjective. It's evidence-based. You can see it yourself. You can stress test the logic. You can agree or disagree with that logic. You can make up your own opinion. And it's highly actionable, right? So consultants can see what specific gaps they have compared to higher tiers and what specific things they need to do to improve. The fourth element is pattern recognition, okay? Because I don't just show you slides. I ask you to review them and compare your feedback with mine for each slide. So I will ask you to review each slide as an EM. Like imagine you're an EM, right? And I marked every slide myself manually. So every slide has my feedback. So I actually mark it. This is a good slide. This is a bad slide. And I explain why and what is the specific points. So by comparing your assessment with mine, you build stronger pattern recognition for what makes a bad and what makes a great slide. Think about it. In the AI world, it's actually called the supervised training. So with a market data set. So what I'm actually doing, I'm trying to coach you, to train you like an AI model, right? So you have in your brain, you have a neural network, natural neural network, and then I'm feeding into you a marked data set where I say this is good, this is bad, and you processing that, you build stronger pattern recognition, right? That's what your partners and EMs have because they worked with so many slides before, and that's what you don't have because you are new, and that's why you're behind, and that's why it's hard for you to work with them because the gap is too big, right? And my job with building a stronger pattern recognition is to close that gap to help you to catch up to their level of pattern recognition. And doing this analysis of every single slide, as a byproduct, I also prepare you for an EM role. Because one of the main challenges that new EMs have is that they struggle to review consultant slides, other people's slides, because when they haven't created the slide themselves, when they haven't internalized the content, they don't see what can be improved. Right? And that's where they actually have a lot of challenges in the beginning of the EM tenure, right? But if by that time you become an EM, you practice dozens and hundreds of slides in the program, you have the system, you can quickly recognize a good and a bad slide, and you know precisely what to improve. You become a more effective EM early in your tenure. So it's actually GM, right? Like if you are at McKinsey, so it makes you more effective. And then it increases your productivity and productivity of your team, and it leads to success as an EM as well. And the final element of the protocol is improving micro skills. Okay, so let me explain. So in the exercises, when you do slides, we will identify which specific gaps you have in problem solving and slide making, and what specific micro skills you need to improve. It can be top-down communication, can be formatting, can be structuring, can be analytical, can be issue analysis, whatever, right? Logical thinking, critical thinking. So we will identify what are the gaps are. But the reality is that some of these slides are actually very hard to improve. It takes time to build, okay? So you cannot fix them. So let's say I tell you structuring is poor. You cannot fix that just because I told you and you know it. It doesn't mean that you suddenly now become strong at structuring. It doesn't work this way. So it's the same. Let's think about muscle building, right? You don't improve overnight. If you lift, let's say 60 kilograms right now, and then I say, okay, you need to improve and you need to lift 200 kilograms overnight, you cannot do it. The same with running, right? If I say your pace is 7 minutes per kilometer, you need to improve to 3 minutes per kilometer. You cannot do it overnight. You need to build that volume. You need to build that capacity. For this specific reason, I created bite-sized interactive exercises to practice specific, isolated, targeted problem-solving skills. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, so let's take structuring. Structuring is a fundamental consulting skill. And now let's think about how you learn structuring on your job, right? How many structuring reps do you get per projects? Maybe a few, right? Maybe you do a slide here and slide there, right? Do you get quality feedback on your structuring? And do you see what best practice looks like? Hardly, right? At best, you will receive a feedback on your structuring 2 months after something happened, like at the end of the project. By that time, you already forget what happened, what specifically you've done, right? But in the coaching program, you can practice structuring through interactive exercises using realistic scenarios, consulting scenarios, okay? So you create your own structures, submit your answers, and get AI-powered personalized feedback immediately. Not in weeks, immediately, right? So surprisingly, actually, AI is amazing for this specific type of tasks. It's precise, it's consistent, it's insightful, okay? And also, over time, I calibrated its responses using hundreds of examples from my current clients, active MBB consultants. So we tighten that the process, we tighten that logic, and then you get immediate feedback on your reps. And then that the feedback shows you mistakes, explains why they happen, and then gives you the best answer for each scenario. So if you think about it, that's how you get instant quality learning, and your learning loop becomes much faster. Instead of months and weeks, it becomes like minutes and seconds. Okay? So now imagine with structuring, you do 10, 20, 30 reps in a row. You strengthen your pattern recognition. You start seeing subtle nuances. You develop much stronger skill, right, in structuring. You learn much faster with less stress. You get all this practice, and that's how we hack your slide-making, problem-solving learning. It's the unfair advantage you need so much, or I need you to have. The only thing you need to bring is your desire to learn and do the practical exercises. Let me summarize. Let's get all of this together, right? So you make slides, you make practical exercises, you get personalized feedback. We identify your specific bottlenecks and root causes of your mistakes, okay? In the process, you see what great looks like, so you can aspire to that level of performance. And then you also calibrate yourself to the cohort, and you know exactly where you are, and you know like what you need to do to get to higher tiers. And then you build pattern recognition. So you start feeling what is the good and bad slide. And also in the process, as a byproduct, you prepare yourself for EMing, right? So you become an effective EM. And then finally, you work through interactive exercises to build micro skills, the fundamental elements of your problem solving. And that's how you learn slide making. And that's how you learn problem solving. And that's how you actually hack that learning. Instead of months of trial and error, you can, in a matter of weeks, you can accelerate much faster. And if you think about it, the process to succeed is actually quite sophisticated, and it's just more than just doing more apps. It's just more than learning on your job and hoping that things will work out for you. You must be quite industrious and structured in how you learn. That's what I want you to have. So if you want to get ahead of your competition, you need to be a little bit smarter than other people. And that's what I want you to give you in my coaching program. If that's what you want, and if you are an experienced hire at McKinsey, BCG, or Bain, and you want to radically improve your performance, problem solving, and slide making, please book a free one-on-one consultation call. We will discuss your current challenges and aspirations and determine if my coaching program is a good fit for you. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.